into an assault without tanks and IFVs? How are armored trucks like the MaxxPro, Mastiff, or Bushmaster breaking the stereotypes?
That was the first time we saw exactly what these vehicles are capable of.
Where the unparalleled Russian IFVs get blown to absolute pieces after hitting a mine. These once very unusual Mad Max-style machines work real miracles and continue the battle even completely without tires.
They would roll in actually. There were times when not a single wheel was left.
They are built to withstand the heaviest mines. And even the stuff that tanks are absolutely terrified of does not bother these armored vehicles too much.
You hear a small explosion, and that is it. The vehicle just keeps moving. I cannot count how many times I got hit by those FPVs, both heavy and light ones, and she saved my life and the infantry as well.
What exactly are MRAP class armored vehicles? And is there still a place for them on the modern battlefield?
Wheels were torn off, the axle was ripped out, the hood got folded up, but the people are alive.
American MaxxPro and Oshkosh, British Mastiff, Canadian Senator, Australian Bushmaster, Turkish Kirpi. How do armored vehicles from all across the Western world compete with Ukrainian rivals for the right to be called combat-proven? What do you do when you need to go on the assault, but your unit doesn't have the right equipment, no tanks, no BMPs, and there's nobody to ask for help? That's right, you assault with whatever you've got on hand. Summer 2023. During the counteroffensive, Ukrainian Marines had to attack enemy positions in the south of Donetsk region in British Mastiff armored vehicles.
It was the assault on the settlement of Novodonetsk. Back then, our column of 10 Mastiffs went on the assault of this settlement. That's when we first saw what these vehicles are capable of.
Historically, it just turned out that Soviet, and now Russian, light armored vehicles are very vulnerable to explosive devices. A BMP-1 or BMP-2 hitting an anti-tank mine often leads to fatal consequences, both for the vehicle and for its crew along with the troops on board. Should we have expected greater resilience from a vehicle that seems, at first glance, less suited for direct fire contact? Turns out, yes.
When we drove up to the outskirts of the settlement, on the right and on the left, both vehicles, the Mastiffs, hit mines. But what's really notable, well, we found this out later, nobody in those vehicles got hurt. So we saw with our own eyes how the vehicle holds up against an anti-tank mine blast.
Hit like if you're also surprised that an armored truck can survive blasts that knock modern tanks out of action. So what exactly is this Mastiff with its unbelievable mine resistance? This vehicle belongs to the MRAP class. Mine-resistant ambush protected.
3, 2, 1, 0!
Back in the middle of the 20th century, militaries of different countries ran into the mine threat, especially from irregular insurgent groups. The first MRAPs appeared in South Africa in the late 1970s. What made them different from ordinary armored vehicles? First and foremost, the design of the hull's underside.
Thanks to having a V-shaped hull like this, the blast wave gets dispersed and pushed out to the sides.
Later, the Americans joined the development of this type of vehicle. Why, you might ask? Surely the Bradley BMP couldn't handle Iraqi or Afghan guerrilla warfare. In reality, its combat capabilities often turned out to be overkill. So for lower intensity combat missions, they found a cheaper but effective alternative. That's how the American International MaxxPro became one of the most mass-produced vehicles of this class. Later, many countries developed their own versions. Their essential features became the V-shaped hull and the shock-absorbing seat design, which absorbs the force of the blast. Did these design features affect the vehicle's appearance? Oh yes, they're hard to mistake for anything else. The shape of the hull and the drive to keep the crew as far as possible from the epicenter of a potential blast created a distinctive, recognizable silhouette, one that the military used to consider unacceptable. During the Cold War, the main means of fighting armored vehicles, artillery, and handheld anti-tank grenade launchers used unguided munitions. Their accuracy depended directly on the operator's skill. Because of this, designers tried to keep the silhouettes of tanks, BMPs, and BTRs as low as possible. Against this backdrop, MRAPs became the perfect target.
It's really tall. It genuinely drives out like a two-story barn. Only a blind man would miss it.
But with the appearance of guided anti-tank missiles, the difference shrank a lot. And now, in the age of FPV drones, it has basically disappeared. Instead, the height of these vehicles gives the crew an incomparably better view.
It's like we're riding on the second floor of a little house.
But for that better situational awareness, the MaxxPro pays with worse stability. Because of its raised center of mass, it and other vehicles in its class risk flipping over on a rough road or in a sharp turn.
If we turn at high speed, it can lay over on its side. You see this angle gauge, and you can see how tilted the vehicle is right now. And if it's in the red zone, the vehicle can already tip over. At first, I used to lean into it like on a motorcycle, but then I got used to it.
What are the advantages of MRAPs besides mine protection? They're much cheaper than classic BMPs and BTRs, which makes them more widely produced. They're often built on the chassis of mass production civilian pickups or even trucks, like legendary Ford Super Duty. And although they were designed for specific missions rather than classic battles, the war in Ukraine broke the usual patterns, so the functions of these vehicles have diversified a lot.
It brings in troops, takes them out, evacuates the wounded. If the enemy is dug in, we drive up to their positions. The gunner swings the Browning around, and we start smoking them out little by little. Work it.
Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the most interesting and unexpected stuff about modern weapons in modern war. MRAPs are mostly armed with machine guns, either standard infantry ones or heavy caliber ones. But depending on what the customer wants, these can also be remotely controlled turrets or even combat modules.
Here you see the sight. You can fire in the daytime just as well as at night. It's like in a plane, basically. The joystick turns left, right, up, down. It's all just like a video game.
So, depending on how they're equipped, these vehicles can give the infantry some serious fire support.
Right, into the bushes, Tapa. Right, into the bushes. Our armored group with the guys pushed in on the Mastiff with a gunner in there, and there, I don't know how many Russians there were. 5 or 10 of them went in. The Mastiff drove up almost right against this house, tore everything apart in there. You can see on the video when it's all flying, the house just completely collapsed, and they got wiped out in there.
What else helps this class of armored vehicles be such versatile fighters in modern war? The vast majority of them are cutting-edge designs, fitted with the latest science and technology has to offer. Automatic transmissions, reinforced suspensions, and reliable armor protection. The Mastiff, for example, weighs nearly 20 tons, almost twice as much as the most common Russian BMPs, and by the designer's intent, it's supposed to protect its passengers even from tank rounds.
Thank God nobody's actually tested that on us. But I think it could probably hold up, yeah, it's really tough. And you know, it actually works. So many times these FPVs hit me, heavy ones and light ones, and it saved my life, and the infantry's too.
Paratrooper Serhai inspects his MaxxPro after the battle. He's checking the damage from hits he didn't even notice during the fight.
Judging by the damage pattern, this really looks like 12.7mm caliber, basically a 50 caliber. It protects the personnel well during transport. You don't even feel fragments like that inside. Anything you can think of has already happened to it. FPVs or small caliber rounds, honestly, they hit the wall like mosquitoes, and the vehicle just keeps driving.
There's a particularly twisted satisfaction for the crew in watching enemy munitions hit the glass and walking away unharmed anyway.
The glass, if you look at it, it's about 100mm. It looks like it's not that thick. Its weight is around 250 to 300 kilograms for one piece.
Seeing death with your own eyes, death that was hunting you but couldn't reach you, that's a refined kind of luxury.
You're just holding the wheel like this, and in some split second you see when this RPG's rocket hits your glass, and then the glass just turns into this kind of web, like a spider web, and that's it.
The only inconvenience, you can't see a thing through glass like that anymore, but that's probably not too high a price to pay for a saved life. This MaxxPro, for example, took 12 hits like that without any critical consequences for the people inside. What other vehicle is capable of that?
The crew's alive, the gunner's alive, everybody's alive. If you take a BMP or take a BTR, if it takes 12 hits, it'll just burn up with the crew inside. Even if you hit it once with an RPG, everything inside will burn out. This vehicle holds up to that. I've been driving it for 2.5 years. I've been hit, I don't even know how many times, and I'm still alive.
Usually in MRAPs, the most protected area is exactly the crew compartment, the armored capsule where the people sit. But that doesn't mean the rest of the vehicle falls apart on the move. A punctured tire is basically not a problem at all. The run-flat system handles that easily.
There was a run where we drove out to the very edge position, dropped off the infantry, unloaded the ammo, all of that, and one of our wheels got punctured then. A mortar fragment hit it. The driver knew what to do, run flat kicked in right away, and we drove out of there.
Even if a tire gets torn off completely, the vehicle can still drive a good distance without it.
These wheels, they're fitted with run-flat inserts. Inside, on the rim, there's this thick rubber piece. It's made for when the tire gets punctured. It can still do 30 kilometers. They thought it through well.
These bank vaults on wheels are incomparably cheaper and simpler to produce than classic BMPs and BTRs. So you might get the impression that they're the ones winning the race for the title of masters of the battlefield. In reality, that's not quite true. But in numbers, they really do outnumber the rest. The count of MRAPs in the war in Ukraine has long since gone into the thousands. Meanwhile, more or less modern BMPs barely reach the hundreds. Big ones and not so big ones. Heavy and lighter. American, Canadian, British, Australian, Turkish, and Polish. Plus a whole bunch of Ukrainian ones. All of them are competing in this terrible war for the right to be called combat-proven. Although for now, there's enough work to go around for everyone. So what do you think about the future of armored vehicles? Write to us in the comments. Will MRAPs ever fully take over the battlefield? Or will they always stay on backup duty? Stay safe and support Ukraine.